Monsieur André Flao, ministre d'État du Royaume de Belgique. Merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Ladies and gentlemen, in a moment, we are going to welcome on stage our guest of honor, His Excellency Julius Maada Bio, President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. But before that, please, let's have a look at this short video presenting Sierra Leone. Thank you very much.
When you hear Sierra Leone, you are hearing a place of peace, of hope, a place of boundless possibilities, with lush green hills, endless golden beaches, and a serene ocean. Our ever-smiling and friendly people are known for their warm African hospitality. In Sierra Leone, free quality education for all children, especially girls, is at the heart of our human capital development. Progressive gender laws, free press, vibrant democracy, mining and agriculture sector reforms enrich the business-friendly ecosystem into which we welcome you. You can cultivate our arable lands, create wealth from our rich mineral resources, invest in technology and healthcare, expand our off-grid renewable energy, or to just enjoy the beauty of our country. You are warmly welcome home. Welcome to the land of limitless possibilities.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming His Excellency Julius Maada Bio, the President of the Republic of Sierra Leone. A round of applause, please. Thank you very much.
Chairman and organizers of this forum, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I bring you warm greetings from our beautiful country, Sierra Leone, as you saw, the land of unrivaled friendliness and strategic opportunities. I'm delighted to be here this morning with you all for this 9th edition of the Rebranding Africa Forum. It is great to see this array of leaders and partners in development and for rebranding Africa in this forum. This annual gathering has become a beacon of hope and progress for Africa. And I commend the organizers for their tireless effort in bringing Africans and well-wishers together. The theme for this year's summit, Revolution in African Financial Systems, blending authenticity and modernity, pathways to financial inclusion, is both timely and crucial for our continent's future. It underscores the fact that we are at the crossroads in developing our financial systems, where we must balance the rich tapestry of our African heritage with the demands of modernity. In so doing, we can pave the way for greater financial inclusion, a goal that has far-reaching implications for our people and economies. Financial inclusion is not just about providing access to banking services, but also empowering our citizens, especially in underserved and remote parts of our continent. Financial inclusion is about fostering entrepreneurship and innovation, which are the cornerstones of economic growth, and creating opportunities for all, regardless of their socio-economic status or geographical location. The revolution of Africa's financial system is not merely technological. It is a revolution of ideas, policies, and strategies. It is a revolution that seeks to harness the power of modern financial technology while respecting our rich cultural diversity and traditions. Ladies and gentlemen, I will use this keynote address to highlight some of the development efforts we have made in Sierra Leone to shape a positive narrative of our country, once regarded as the Athens of West Africa. Since May 2018, my government has made visible strides in education, healthcare services, agriculture, gender empowerment, and poverty eradication programs. And that is all geared towards improving the quality of life of our citizens. Let me start with education. Under my government's Education for Development agenda, we invested heavily in our young and dynamic population as we recognize that our most substantial asset is the human resources. We have witnessed an exponential improvement in access to quality education for all our children in Sierra Leone. Our free quality education program has created great access, quality, and equity for over 2 million children by removing financial barriers to school enrollment and improving teaching and learning outcomes. Through radical inclusion policy, our radical inclusion policy, more children from urban towns and remote villages, children living with disabilities, pregnant girls, and parent learners who had previously been excluded from schools now have tuition-free access to education. We believe education is a human right, not a luxury. Our radical inclusion strategy in education and the impact of the successes Sierra Leone has experienced are transformational, and that has been lauded globally and solidified our nation's position as a champion of education. Now I come to gender empowerment. In the past 5 years at the helm, my government has worked tirelessly to promote and protect women's rights. We have enacted the Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment Act, mandating a 30% minimum representation of women in elective and appointive positions in all spheres of our society. Under my new administration, we strive to surpass the 30% quota and bring more competent women to the fore in our national development efforts. Also, my government's huge investment in agriculture, mining, and infrastructure development helped reshape the country's socio-economic development trajectory in the past 5 years. The other menace that I've had to tackle is fighting corruption. We curbed corruption significantly and promoted transparency in government. We believe an open and transparent government is essential for maintaining our people's trust and building a prosperous and peaceful nation. Human rights. We also repealed the criminal libel law that stood in our country's way of press freedom and abolished the death penalty. Financial inclusion. In the past 5 years, we have prioritized financial inclusion, which correlates to our government's effort towards positioning Sierra Leone to play a leading role in the fourth industrial revolution. My government launched a national payment switch earlier this year to promote fast progress with financial inclusion. This new financial infrastructure will encourage the modernization of the country's national payment system. It will facilitate interoperability of card transactions among channels and payment service providers, including banks, microfinance institutions, mobile money operators, and financial technology firms. This will stimulate innovation and competition in the financial sector and foster progress towards financial inclusion in Sierra Leone. Ladies and gentlemen, we achieved all of these milestones despite unprecedented challenges and global shocks impacting the cost of living globally and in Sierra Leone in particular. Today, Sierra Leone is a member of the United Nations Security Council in the non-permanent category. The progress we made under my administration has garnered Sierra Leone's respect in the Committee of Nations. I am proud to highlight that Sierra Leone vied for the non-permanency of the United Nations Security Council. Out of 192 countries that voted, we got votes from about 188 nations. So we have returned to the Security Council after nearly 52 years hiatus. We will use our 2-year tenure to promote global peace and security with a specific focus on ECOWAS and Sahel regions, and strongly advocate for the common African position on the reform of this Security Council. Ladies and gentlemen, having won the popular mandate to lead the people of Sierra Leone for a second 5-year term, my government is even more poised to consolidate the development gains recorded in the last 5 years. Our 5-year mandate echoes the call for continuity. The new transformation agenda is an ambitious vision to spur sustainable economic growth and social progress in Sierra Leone. This agenda encapsulates the spirit of progress, seizing the newfound opportunities we have forged while confronting emerging challenges and propelling Sierra Leone towards middle income status by 2035. We will focus on 5 key strategic initiatives to shape our nation's course and improve the quality of life of our people in the next 5 years. The first of the 5 key game changers is Feed Salon program, which I officially launched on Monday, this week, October 16, 2023. This will ignite agricultural productivity, promote food security and sovereignty, and foster inclusive economic growth, laying a solid foundation for sustained prosperity of our country. Human capital development agenda is the second, and this will focus on promoting gender equality and nurturing the skills required for industries of the 21st century, empowering our workforce to a transformative future. Youth Employment Scheme, we unleash a focused initiative to create abundant job opportunities, providing our young talents a platform to flourish and contribute to our nation's progress. Technology and infrastructure. This will serve as an engine for sustained economic growth, harnessing the power of innovation and robust infrastructure to propel Sierra Leone to middle income status. The fifth will be revamping the public service architecture. That is to usher in a new era of service delivery and professionalism, enhancing the effectiveness of public sector institutions. These strategic national development initiatives form the bedrock upon which we shall usher in a profound change, catalyzing economic growth, alleviating hunger and poverty, generating abundant employment prospects, and fostering resilience in adversity. Together with our partners, we will transform Sierra Leone. My government recognizes that the private sector is the engine of economic growth and a needed ally for our transformation agenda. Since 2018, we have systematically improved the legal, regulatory, and institutional framework for ease of doing business to attract credible and strategic investors as we seek equitable partnerships for economic diversification. We, therefore, invite all of you to join us as Sierra Leone is on a path to sustainable growth and irreversible progress. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa is the last investment frontier in the world. The African market will help boost global growth. Africa cannot be ignored. It is time for us to fully harness the continent's vast human and natural resources to decisively transform the gloomy narratives and prevalence of negativities about Africa through practical actions in every field of endeavor. To achieve this, Africa must always look inside. It must look increasingly within itself to build wealth. Greater private sector investment and regional trade will be needed to boost Africa's economic growth and development. As I close, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, financial inclusion is a sure path to achieving sustainable economic growth and social progress in Africa. Our governments must enact enabling policies to enhance financial inclusion by increasing access to a wide range of financial services, notably the underserved groups such as SMEs, women, young entrepreneurs, and the base of the pyramid population. No single country or institution can achieve financial inclusion alone. We must collaborate as a continent, forging partnerships and collaborations with both private and public sectors. We can make great strides towards our common goal by pooling our resources and expertise. The integration of African financial markets will help to deepen investment across the continent. Regional integration is especially important to help Africa reduce its exposure to external economic shocks. Greater regional trade will open up huge opportunities for industrialization. The free movement of people will also accelerate integration of labor markets and promote more competitive service industries. Ladies and gentlemen, the world is a global village. We cannot rebrand Africa without international partnerships. Africa needs strategic partnerships based on mutual respect and trust. Partners that do not dictate which strategies or tools we should adopt and how to implement them. We need partners to support our homegrown strategies and development pathways for our nation's unique challenges and opportunities. I call on the international community to support our effort for a prosperous and financially inclusive Africa to benefit our continent and the world. Africa needs political and social stability to be the norm and adequate legal and regulatory frameworks to attract credible investors to the continent. I remain committed to working hand in hand with my colleagues heads of state to realize these goals. Together, we can drive a revolution in our financial system to bring authenticity and modernity towards greater financial inclusion. Let this Rebranding Africa Forum catalyze the change. Let it be the spark that ignites the revolution we seek in African financial systems. With authenticity and modernity as our guiding principles, and with the commitment and dedication of all stakeholders, we can create a more inclusive and prosperous future for Africa. With these few words, I want to thank you, and I wish the summit a resounding success. Thank you all.
Of Sierra Leone. Thank you very much, Excellency. I'm going to ask you to stay on the stage. Thank you very much for a very special presidential conversation led by Didier Akwete, the CEO of AfriCsearch. Please, a round of applause for Your Excellency and for Didier Akwete. Thank you very much.
Excellency, Mr. President. I'm doing fine. Yourself? Thank you very much, His Excellency. Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you for joining the show on this live edition of the Africa Rebranding Forum. And you stated it very well. This is the place to discuss the future of Africa and to rebrand the continent. Congratulations, first of all, for your second term in the election. And my first question to you is related to human capital education. I've heard you say you achieved a lot in terms of education. What has been the impact in terms of employment, and who have been witnessing so far in terms of changing the landscape of African?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. For my first time, I took education as the flagship program. But let me precede that by saying that there are so many challenges that Sierra Leone should be looking at. The economy, security, agriculture, you name it. But in my opinion, having had the opportunity to lead a country at a very young age, albeit as a military head, I realized that the most important asset of any nation is the human capital. The human being is the most important asset. But that human being cannot be useful until and unless we invest. And that investment has to be education. To make an ordinary person become useful to lead the world, we are talking about financial inclusion, we are talking about technology, innovation, and the many things. It is only the human being that has to lead that person. But until and unless we invest through education, we cannot achieve that. So I realized that the most important of all the challenges, as many as they are, as important as they are, I chose education, to invest in the education of Sierra Leone, because education is good for personal development and for national development. And particularly in the 21st century, we can only be at the receiving end, as Africa has always been at the receiving end of all the revolutions. Now, on the verge of the fourth industrial revolution, I want to place my people, I want us to place Africa at the forefront, not at the receiving end, to lead the fourth industrial revolution, so that we can be the leaders we are supposed to be. So I invested in education. We made it possible for every child born in Sierra Leone, notwithstanding their economic situation, location, political inclinations, every child has the right to go to school. That's why I said it is a human right and not a law. So every child born in Sierra Leone that has to go to school, and we have taken away the tuition, and this has made it possible for over millions, well over millions of children to go to school. And now we have to cater for the infrastructure to cope with these children. But I'm happy to note that in just 5 years, the kids have done extremely well. The transition exams, public exams, others refer to, they are passing them in good numbers. And now we have to expand our higher institutions of learning to be able to cope with the many kids that are passing clearly at the first season. Gender parity has been reached at the basic education level, because today in Sierra Leone, every child has an opportunity to go to school. And any girl child that pursues STEM courses, science, technology, engineering, can go to school free at the expense of the state from pre-primary to the end of university. So for the first time in the history of nearly 200 years of our university, more girls applied for engineering last year than at any other time. Because this is why we call it radical inclusion. We are now trying to empower our women folk to be part of modern society, to be on our side as we want them to be. They must be empowered. And the best method of empowerment is through education. So quite a lot is happening. They are passing the exams. Learning outcomes have improved. We have built more schools in the past few years. We have introduced a public transportation system for school children, and I want us to take note of all of these developments against the background of the many shocks and challenges we have had to go through in the past 5 years, be it the pandemic and its lingering effects, the war in Ukraine and how that has impacted us in Africa, the financial crisis, and the many things that we've had to go through. But we dedicated 22% of our national budget to education, and that is still the case.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations. And have you been witnessing some impact on the employment of the youth, or how do you foresee this major challenge, youth employment in the whole continent, basically, in Sierra Leone?
Well, it's creating more of a challenge rather than a solution. This means that we are not only paying attention to education, but how do we expand our economy? How, and that is one of the reasons why I'm here, because we have great opportunities in Sierra Leone and in Africa, but we have difficulties accessing affordable capital to exploit these opportunities. The opportunities are there, the finances out here, and we need to link the opportunities to the financial possibilities that are out here. That way the private sector can thrive in Africa. But when it comes to employment in Africa, there's so much pressure from the public sector, the government, to take in. And that is why it's extremely difficult for governments to deal with unemployment of the youth. So the best way is to help expand the economy make sure that you have a private sector that can absorb all the young men and women that you are training. Because now we have to quickly find a way to expand our economy so that they can absorb all of these people that we are training. So we have created some problems for ourselves, but it's a good problem in that we are educating our people. But when they get, after they finish their education, universities or higher education, they need to find a job. And we, the government, cannot provide all the jobs. So we have to fall back to the private sector. And that is why the financial possibilities, institutions that are there, we need to link them up with the opportunities that exist in Africa so that we can create the jobs for the many young men and women, so that they don't have to take this strenuous journey to come across the Mediterranean Sea and so forth. That is why this time around I have embarked on agriculture as a means not only to stimulate economic growth, but also to absorb as many as possible of our young people in agribusiness, in agricultural transformation, in the production of our basic foods, and to make sure that agriculture is attractive, agriculture is a business that can pay, that can bring benefit to these people. Once we make agriculture that way, the young people can latch onto it, and it will absorb a lot of our, take care of a lot of our unemployment challenges that we face in Africa.
Thank you, Mr. President. Agriculture seems to be one of your second priority for this new term, and I read somewhere that you call yourself chief farmer. Correct. And you launched recently the Feed Salon program as one of the key programs for your new mandates. And you just mentioned that agriculture is key. Of course, you have to feed Africa, you have to feed Sierra Leone. How do you embark the small, medium enterprises and the private sector? And a good friend of us, said, Louis told me that you're passionate about small, medium enterprises. How do you embark SMEs into this venture and make sure they fully commit in creating those jobs and take the opportunity you try to create in the agribusiness industry?
As somebody had alluded to, one of the challenges that SMEs face is difficulty in accessing affordable capital. So, the essence of my being here, rebranding Africa, is, for me, one would have expected other heads of state. We cannot rebrand Africa with just you, the financial sector. We have to be here, and that is why I chose to come. I am serious about providing food for our people because we have all that it takes to not only provide enough, but also to be able to sell that to the world and make money. But for SMEs, the difficulty is always access to finance. And in Africa in particular, we have to find a way to de-risk. The banks are hesitant to deal with farmers. They are not, a lot of the banks, especially in Sierra Leone. So we have to make it possible for them to have access to the finance that is needed. Because agriculture is, depending on which one, but at all levels, it's always cash intensive. But it is profitable, and we can do it as a business. But that infusion of capital is not possible if the SMEs do not have adequate access to capital in African countries. So this is the beginning. Like I said, we have to feed Sierra Leone, and that is we are going to involve the private sector, not the government. The government is not going to do the farming. What we want to do is to provide, or what we are doing at the moment, providing the policy environment and also providing the enabling infrastructure in these agricultural ecologies that can produce huge amounts of agricultural produce like rice, corn, avocado, cashew, coffee, and cocoa. We want to provide an infrastructure and then invite the private sector. The private sector is not going to do the infrastructure. But if we do the infrastructure, the private sector will be incentivized. And if they have access to capital, and the infrastructure is there, and they have access to capital, it is easier to get them. And very soon, I want to be able to meet the food, especially the rice, which is the state food of Sierra Leone, be able to meet the requirement in the next 3 years.
Fantastic. How do you tend to deal with access to financing for SMEs? You know, this is a challenge in all the countries, and especially in the agriculture sector. You're going to be probably asking money to African Bank, and you're going to need some money. Balear and all the banks are going to be giving some money. How do you face this challenge of providing access to finance to all those SMEs that you embark with the private sector? And the risk, you mentioned it, and you know what the interest rates. Yeah, borrowing at 15, 25%. It's quite high for an SME.
Definitely. And that is why we are here in conversation. It starts with dialogue. We are challenging you, the financial institutions, that we cannot leave it to the fate. We are not going to be able to produce food or even other trade finance and for the many activities that take place on the continent if we do not provide affordable capital to our people. So I am here to lend my voice to the many who have said we have to find solutions. Our challenges must be dealt with African solutions, homegrown solutions. And we have the capacity to re-engineer. We are asking the international financial systems to rethink their structures and their relationship with African nations. I think the institutions that exist in our country, on our continent, must also start to rethink. And I think with Brand in Africa, it's the right forum to challenge the financial institutions, to start to think, how can we do it? I'm a politician, but these are financial engineers sitting here, a lot of them. They can couch it in a way that will make it palatable for our private investors on the continent and to be able to latch on to that opportunity in order to engage. So I do not have a solution, but I think that engaging in such a forum will throw the challenge to the financial institutions on our continent and out of our continent, because we need partnerships beyond Africa to deal with the challenges that we face on the continent.
And also, the next conversation to come to the Reverend Forum in Brussels this year. Let's talk a little bit about business. Dr. Kanayo mentioned the next forum in Cairo to take advantage of the trade agreement and the trade fair that we got in Cairo in November. How do you position Sierra Leone into this global free trade agreement, and what do you export in Africa currently? And how do you intend to take advantage of this free trade agreement in the country?
I think it's a great opportunity for African nations to trade, and that starts with the free movement of goods and services, and also of people. It is easier said than done. I have challenged my colleagues to make sure that we remove all the hurdles to that. For us at Sierra Leone, we are a resource-rich nation when it comes to mineral resources. Some of the most critical minerals needed for the green transition can be found in Sierra Leone. That is the selling point. What we have done now is to create a legal framework to sanitize the extractive sector and to serve to the world that we are a nation ready to receive investors in that sector. We have clamped down seriously on corruption. We have moved 21 spaces since I took over in terms of our corruption rating. The MCC score for corruption, we have passed consistently for 5 years. When I took over, we were 49%. But past 5 years, we have gone as far as 84% and have passed for 5 years. So we are making effort to reduce corruption. It was, I must say, confess that we had not taken care of that aspect, which is important for investors. The ease of doing business, we are still working to make it very easy for anybody who goes into Sierra Leone to be able to set up your business, run your business, and if you encounter challenges, to come back to us, and we, government, should be ready to help you through every challenge. Our business is to make sure that you make enough profit, because it is in our interest for you to make more profit. If you don't, you can only take a percentage of what you declare as profit. But what we know is your profit. So the bigger it is, the more we can get. So our responsibility is to open up the economy, make it easy for you to enter as a new business, protect you within the confines of the law, and to help you to be a successful business enterprise, lead a successful business enterprise, and help you to repatriate your profits. That is what we do for the companies that the business enterprises that exist in Sierra Leone from other countries of the world.
So Charles is ready for investment, if I hear you, Mr. President.
That is why I'm here actually, because to actually tell you that I'm not a financial specialist, I'm not a banker at by any stretch of imagination, but if we have to be able to solve the challenge that we have, the access to finance, affordable finance, we must solve on the continent. And it would even be nice if we just leave you to talk amongst yourselves. It is good for me to be here to tell us all the challenges we are facing. And I want to say that Sierra Leone is ready for investment. We are ready to innovate around the challenges that are there, just to make sure that every business enterprise that goes into Sierra Leone succeeds. And when we go for cruise, we tell the world that we are a peaceful nation, the most peaceful nation in Africa. We are fighting corruption. We have a lot of tax incentives, and we are a stable democracy. So these are the 7 points.
Without mentioning all those points, Mr. President, including corruption, and there should be free discussion about that. And which specific sectors are you targeting when you talk to investors right now back in the room? You talk about agriculture, some mineral-based country, but are you targeting any specific sectors where you want to attract investors? And what is the amount you're looking for in terms of billions of dollars?
There's specific sectors that you started calling already. Agriculture. We must feed ourselves. Agriculture is business. We must not leave it to poor farmers. We have to invest in that area. We have, as you must have seen, a beautiful landscape with really friendly people, pristine beaches. So tourism is another area. Infrastructure is another area. Hospitality and energy. We are close to 40% energy access. To be able to succeed, we must improve that, take it to 78 as quickly as possible, and do so in a climate-friendly way. So it is a virgin land as far as investments are concerned, opportunities are concerned, and that is why I am here struggling to be a marketer.
Fantastic. So investors start reading checks. Investors round. I have one last question and one more personal. The last one is more related to diplomacy. Sierra Leone has been elected as a non-permanent member of the UN Security Council for 1 year, I think for 2 years. The world is kind of turmoil. Look at Ukraine, look at Palestine, look at the coup in West Africa. What would be your priority as a UN non-government at the Security Council? What would be your priority? What would you be fighting for while you're there?
The UN Security Council is concerned about peace and security around the world. So that would be the umbrella, the overarching aim why we are going there. But I come from West Africa that is burdened by the challenges we have in the Sahel. We are also challenged by the many unconstitutional changes of government in West Africa, which has extended beyond West Africa. But I am African, so every unconstitutional challenge should be of concern to us. And we also, as a result of all of this, West Africa has struggled to keep the peace. The economies are under serious strain, I must say. So when I go to the Security Council, while we fight to maintain peace and security everywhere else in the world, I will be coming from that angle to accentuate the need for us to look at what is happening in the Sahel region, in Niger, in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and try to draw the attention of the world. It's an extremely difficult situation. The world is in a state of flux and confusion, and we need to attract the right actors, international actors, to the peculiar situation which we are facing, which a lot of other countries that should be paying attention are not doing so. So I will be there to give voice to the concerns of Africa. I am also the coordinator of the C10, which is to canvass the common African position around the world. The common African position is that 1.4 million people should be represented in the Security Council. In the permanent category, I am going on to the non-permanent category. So my presence in the non-permanent category is to convince the P5 that you cannot ignore the voices of 1.4 billion people. It is hypocrisy to democracy. And the UN was shaped for that time in 1945. Now we are in the 21st century. If we are to deal with the realities, and also 75% of the issues discussed at the UN Security Council are mostly about Africa. So how can we not be represented there, and we still think the UN Security Council is fit for purpose? So I am going there to be the voice, to tell them that this is an untenable situation. We must change this configuration so that it is fit for purpose for the 21st century. In Africa, should be in the permanent category. That is another thing, besides making sure that there is security and peace in West Africa and Africa as a whole.
Well, with that. Last question is for you. If I was 18 years old, young African, jobless, just dreaming of getting on a ship and cross the ocean to Europe, what would you tell me to give me hope?
I tell you, help is on the way. You should not go and take that perilous journey across the Atlantic Ocean. You can die in the process. We are here discussing about rebranding Africa. We want to change the narrative in Africa so that we should not, so don't embark on a journey that will take your life. You are not sure about that. One thing that we are sure about is that if we work concertedly, we can change the situation here, and you will be better off staying in Africa, because this is the last frontier of opportunities. Why are you running from opportunities? when others are rushing to where you are leading. I will tell you, don't embark on that journey that will take your life. Stay here. It will take us some time, but with concerted effort, like what we are doing here today, we can provide, we can empower our youth. And that is the more reason why I chose education. To give the people, empower the young people to understand, and not only empowering them, but also to provide opportunities at the end of their education so that they can be gainfully employed. And we are also talking about entrepreneurship. Don't just go to school with the hope of getting employed. You can also use your entrepreneurial skills, employ yourself, and employ many more, which means there has to be a linkage between that young man and that young woman to access who has a business idea, to access a capital and translate that into job opportunities, not only for him or herself, but for many others. So there is quite a lot. There is a strong relationship among the things that we are trying to do on the continent. So I will tell young people in Africa that help is on the way. Don't jump on that ship. Don't die in the Mediterranean Sea, fighting to come to Europe. You will die in the process, but there are opportunities where you want to live.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Pe, for this great conversation and this great
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Elise, for this very informative conversation. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask all the keynote speakers, please, to gather on stage for a family picture with Your Excellency Julius Maada Bio, the President of Sierra Leone.